Hey folks, today we're going to be making nature dyed paper. This is pretty intense in terms of what it's going to take, so I'm hoping that you will be ready to go and that you maybe have an adult that help you. So as you can see, you're going to start with leaves and flowers and you're going to flatten them in some books. They don't have to be completely dried. You can do it and then just leave it for an hour or so. That's all I did. You just want to have at least a little flattening happening before you do it. This ends up using birch and lilac and all these different ones, and they're all going to give you kind of a different dye that comes out of it. What you're also going to need is a pipe or rolling pin, some vinegar, water, and then some paper. And I have both rice paper and just plain old normal printer paper. And to be honest, the printer paper takes the dye more easily. And so you're going to get darker colors happening on it. And it's really quite beautiful. They rip more easily when you unwrap it. So you've got to be really careful. So right now we're in the process of creating a stack of papers in which you put everything on it. So you stack a paper, put some leaves in it, stack another paper, put some more leaves and flowers in it, and keep going from there. Now I'm going to roll it up onto this pipe. And because the pipe has a little rust on it, that rust actually ends up coloring it as well. And it looks really, really cool. You can use an old pipe, you can use a stick, you can use anything that, a dowel, a rolling pin, anything that has some roundness to it. And then you can use any sorts of string or wire as well. Sometimes if you use like a metal wire, that again can create some interesting stuff on it. My pipes are a little long, so it makes my boiling pot, which we are going to be boiling, it's going to make it a little tippy. So if you have long pipes, be careful. What else? I'm in the process of making my other one. As you can see, I have some pink paper. I really wanted to mix and match because this is the first time that I've done this too. It's utterly and completely an experiment. And what's really neat is it's a lot of fun to do. So this is almost like process over product, although I really liked the way the product ended up. By the way, both my dogs and my puppy and my middle-aged dog were super helpful in collecting the leaves. It was quite silly, actually. So anyway, getting all this stuff ready, wrapping it and throwing it in. Next, we're going to add water. Okay, so we're pouring in the water, and I'm pouring in basically for every gallon of water, you want to do about 2 cups of the vinegar. So basically it's just water and vinegar. And see what I'm dropping in? These are rusty nails. And again, if you have any like little pieces of rusty stuff, throw that in as well. So water, vinegar, rusty, copper ends up being really cool too, so I threw in a bunch of pennies. Okay, so here we are throwing in the pennies. Then we're going to simmer for an hour. And the pipes get hot, so be careful. Make sure that you're using stuff. And when it's done, turn it off, let it cool. That's all I did. Then I'm going to bring it outside because it's messy. And I'm going to take it apart and unroll it. And you can see I've already got some different colors happening. As you can see, the stuff that was embedded is a darker color, and then the stuff that was sticking up above it is a lighter color. I could have cut the paper even smaller or had a bigger pot, and then I would have had that dye too. But it's kind of fun having little pieces of white areas too. You're going to find as I unroll this, part of it's going to rip. I'm not going to freak out about that though, because what I can do is just trim it into smaller paper. Never be afraid of things with rips in it and that sort of thing. Isn't that cool though? I like it with the white on one side and kind of the grays happening. So it's supposedly that every different sort of leaf makes a different color. I do know if you do onion skins and beets, that's going to be a different color too, which I'm going to experiment with in the summer. So if you like wrap like some onion skins in there, or if you wrap some trimmed beets, I think I'm going to try that, like maybe with vegetables and that sort of thing. I've done it dyeing with fabric, but I had never done it with paper before, and I find it fascinating. So those were all my rice papers, so you can see that it unwrapped pretty easily without ripping, but this other side that I'm unwrapping now, the paper's gonna rip, and it made me a little sad, but then when the stuff dried, it was actually thicker and nicer than the rice paper, and it's just the plain old printer paper. So if I do it again, I'd maybe flatten things a little bit more to make it easier. I'd be carefuler, maybe even use twine to tie it up because it would be less likely to slice through the paper because it's thicker. But you can see it turned out a lot darker, and I think that in the corner you can see the rusty part, and that that I think was where all the pennies were. So it's kind of fun, but you can see it got all ripped, and that's okay. If I left it to dry on the picnic table, it's going to stick. It's going to become like paper mache. And so it's really important that once you like unwrap everything, you gotta drape it somewhere where it can dry, whether it be on a screen, or if you have a drying rack, or if you have a line, like a clothesline, someplace where it can kind of be draped, so that it's most of the surface area isn't touching something. Oh, that one's my favorite. It ended up drying really cool. I'm paying attention here because I didn't really pay attention to what, but I think that was the Queen Anne's lace, which is kind of fun. Good to know. So there you go. Here I have it hanging to dry. And then I flattened them. Lots of big books flattening, and then you end up with absolutely gorgeous papers that you can then use for other art materials.